I swear I've seen this before. Well, hello there and welcome to the video. So, I just got done watching Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 6, The Saylat Who Ate Its Own Tail. This episode was possibly the most sci-fi-esque episode that Strange New Worlds has given us, certainly this season. And it's actually got some really good points. Stay with me, because, as usual, they are outweighed by the negatives in this episode. But I will get into that, obviously. But before I do, if I've earned your subscription and you like what I'm doing here, then please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit that like button. That does help the channel to grow. Now that that's over with, let's get into this episode. The episode premise is pretty similar to other sci-fi concepts that you've seen. There's this destroyer of worlds ship. It's humongous and it swallows starships, kind of doomsday machine-ish, and destroys planets. And it's crewed by these scavengers that are pretty brutal and take what they want and consume what they want and throw away what they don't. They're basically intergalactic garbage scourers. And the Farragut, they get caught in the explosion. The Enterprise comes to their aid, they rescue, they transfer some crew members over an away team to see what how the Farragut is faring. And the Enterprise gets swallowed by the non-Doomsday ship. And then Kirk is left in command when the captain is injured, and the story is about Kirk's first real taste of command and his attempt to rescue the Enterprise with a badly battered ship. That's the premise of the episode. The execution was okay. However, this episode is an amalgamation of a lot of different sci-fi concepts that have been done before, been done better, obviously. But this episode is just the basic fundamentals. It's just Star Trek Beyond in a Strange New World skin. Even the opening dialogue, the opening log with Kirk, he says, "We're on a survey mission and I'm deeply bored," which is what essentially Chris Pine's version of Kirk said in Beyond, that useless movie that nobody liked. And it turns out these scavengers, spoiler alert, are actually human, and they left on a mission many years ago, just after the Third World War, but before First Contact. So in that little time slot, they left Earth to look for greener pastures and became these scavengers. I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I've definitely seen this before, and it's just Star Trek Beyond. They take a lot of elements from previous Star Trek and, I say, other sci-fi shows and movies. There's nothing really original here, but I will say that I was, in some ways, entertained, because there was very little interpersonal relationship, if any interpersonal relationship bollocks that you usually find in this show. There were all the new Trek tropes that you've come to expect from the show. They're all still here. The writing is exceptionally poor. Everything just happens because the plot needs it to, and people saying things that the plot needs them to say in order to get them from A to B, but it just doesn't make any sense, and that's the usual new Trek trope. Some notable things from this episode. Kirk says to the Enterprise crew, "I know you barely know me." It's like, well, for 2 seasons you've been popping in and getting to know the crew, so I think they pretty much know you at this point. Kirk's very whiny in this episode. Okay, yes, he's starting out in his career, but he is a qualified commander, is he not? And he has taken the comm before, and he has watched his captain command the ship. He's gaining loads of experience, and this is his first command, and he seems overtly nervous and somewhat cocked in this episode. And it's not really surprising, because it is new Trek Kirk. And I still stand by, he looks like Jim Carrey. I made the point that when Kirk first showed up, I thought, my God, he looks like Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey Kirk, that's what we call him on this channel. Scotty in this episode is, well, he's very much more new Trekish Scotty than he has ever been before, because he's insubordinate and he's snarky and he's making all of these comments, basically trying to beat Kirk down. Is obviously not very Scotty-like, but then it's new Trek Scotty. The Enterprise trying to get out of this this destroyer of worlds gobbling ship is entertaining to a degree if it wasn't borderline on the ridiculous, as New Trek usually is. Obviously, you can tell I'm not a fan of New Trek. People know this on my channel. I mean, Carol Kane's in the episode as Pelia, and she is just insanely Pelia. It's very annoying. She's more Pelia than usual. The ship's communication is down because of a dampening field or an interference signal, and her idea is to wire up the Enterprise with old telephones that she kept because she likes to collect junk from the 1980s. They actually hook the Enterprise up to a car battery, and I'm not joking, they do that. They hardline the Enterprise, and people are talking on phones and communicating with phones, and it's needed for about 30 seconds, and then the plot happens and everything is restored. Sight of them with the phones. They've got thruster joysticks as well, which I never really liked. The idea of the Enterprise being piloted by joysticks, but hey ho, that's just a personal preference of mine. They hardwire the communications to the Enterprise, so they're all on phones, which I think is just a gimmick. It really is a gimmick. There's nothing much more to that. There's a fight between Pike and a scavenger in La'an, and it is the worst edited fight I've ever seen. Not too many jump cuts, so we're not talking Liam Neeson jumping a fence here, but there was an awkward amount of time between each cut, to the point where it looked like they hadn't choreographed it properly, and in between each person drawing a weapon, it's like they're checking the cue to see, oh, is it my turn now to draw my weapon? Is it my turn to fight? An extremely badly put together fight scene, conflict scene. It felt really weird. It was like these weird gaps, and it really broke immersion. Now, as I said, there's loads to go through on this episode, and we might talk about it in an evening in 10 forward. A little plug here, that's my live show that we do every Friday night, and it is back this week. We are back off holiday, so I will be doing my live show tomorrow night at 8:30. Shameless plug, I know. But we will be talking more about it. But this episode felt like its heart was in the right place, but the execution was derivative and samey, and we've seen it all before. And like I said, it's essentially Star Trek Beyond, with an element of the Doomsday Machine and a distant origin, and the Enterprise episode where they see all the disembodied souls in the ship that swallows the Enterprise. So it's nothing that hasn't been done before, and again, it's massively, wildly derivative. But it was the best this season has given us, I think, in terms of just entertainment factor. But it's not Star Trek. It's poorly written. There was a moment towards at the very end where Pike and Kirk are having a conversation, and it almost felt like borderline good writing. But at the end of the day, that's one shining moment in an episode that I think tried too much. And ultimately, it was generic sci-fi show that culminated all these ideas into a hot mess. I don't want to be too hard on it because it was trying. Oh, that was another thing I've just remembered. Erica Ortegas, she's grabbed it. She's got this old style phone, and she asked the question: "Is a personal massager?" I'm thinking, oh my god, these are evolved human beings, you know. Oh my god, in Star Trek, come on, seriously. All in all, it felt a little bit disjointed, but it wasn't offensive to watch. It was more like I watched the progress bar once on this one, so I mean, I wasn't bored. I wasn't as bored as Kirk is on his survey missions, and it's with Kirk, it's very much like you can tell it's a very New Trek interpretation of Kirk. He's fairly one-dimensional. I think Chris Pine's Kirk is better, and I don't really like Chris Pine's Kirk. There'll obviously only ever be one Kirk, and it's Shatner. But like I say, the episode was okay. I don't think I'd ever rewatch it. It's not got rewatchability. Nothing in New Trek's really got any rewatchability, except for maybe Prodigy and Picard Season 3. But it didn't feel original. There's nothing new about it. It's just strange worlds at this point. I think that's all I've got to say on this episode. I may say more in the live stream. We are going to be talking about the last 3 episodes in the live stream, so come and join us and give us your thoughts. And that's all I've really got to say on it. There's some notable moments in the episode that made me roll my eyes, and there's some notable moments in the episode where it made me go, I've seen all this before. There's nothing new, nothing original. It's just Strange Worlds at this point. That's it for this video. If you like it, give the video a like for me. That would really help me out. And subscribe to the channel. Until next time, you look after yourselves. You look after one another. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
The healer, the eraser of all done and said. And as I fall back to my shelter, I know I'll only find peace in your smile.